Some people are born facing battles. Even before understanding the world, they were already dealing with rejection, abandonment, scarcity, and pain. They grew up hearing they were too different, too intense, too sensitive. If this was your reality, you may have never felt like you belonged anywhere. And perhaps now you're starting to understand why. The chosen ones almost never have an easy beginning. It's not an exaggeration. It's not drama. It's a pattern that repeats in thousands of similar stories. Difficult families, illnesses that no one understands, toxic relationships, feelings of not belonging, as if life was trying to break you early on. But in reality, it was shaping you. Pain, when it arrives early, doesn't come to punish you. It comes to remove distractions, to break what is false, to create space. Because the chosen ones didn't come to go with the flow. They came to break patterns, heal wounds, and light up where there was only shadow. But for that, they first need to cross their own darkness. In this video, you will understand why so many chosen ones have a beginning marked by pain, and why this suffering, instead of being an obstacle, can be exactly what formed the foundation of your strength, your sensitivity, your mission. If you're not yet part of our channel, take the opportunity to subscribe now. Many live for years, believing that life is only what they see around them. They follow patterns, repeat behaviors, accept truths they never questioned, until something happens. A strong pain, a loss, an illness, and suddenly everything that seemed right starts to crumble. It is at this moment that the soul begins to wake up. Before awakening, most chosen ones live within structures that have nothing to do with who they really are. They follow imposed paths. They try to fit in. They pretend to be okay. But inside they feel a void that is hard to explain. A sense that they are living a life that isn't theirs. Suffering arrives like a rupture. It is not subtle. It is not delicate. It is a break, as if the soul is saying, "This no longer serves." It can be a deep crisis, a bankruptcy, a separation, an unexpected diagnosis. What seemed safe begins to crumble, and what remains is just the essential. For the chosen ones, this pain is not a punishment. It is an invitation. The soul already knew that something was wrong, but the mind resisted. Then comes the fall, the impact, the shock, and it is at this point that many things begin to make sense, because pain shows what was not real, and this liberates. It is common for a person to feel lost during this phase. They look around and no longer recognize what made sense before. Old dreams lose value. Superficial relationships cannot sustain themselves. The external world stops mattering as before, and the focus begins to turn inward. Pain opens a space that was previously occupied by illusions. Beliefs about success, about love, about acceptance. Everything is questioned, and this process hurts, but it cleanses. It is like tearing a veil. Reality is revealed without filters, and along with it, the truth about who the person truly is appears. The chosen ones need this break, because their mission requires clarity. You cannot carry light while being trapped in patterns that have no soul. You cannot serve a purpose while living to please others. So suffering comes and dismantles everything, not to punish, but to reveal. In this process, what was not true begins to come out. Masks fall, false identities dissolve, and what remains is the essence. Raw, sometimes confusing, but real. It is from here that the new path begins, a path that no longer depends on approval. It depends on connection with the soul. Pain does not come to destroy. It comes to clear the field, to create space, to force you to look inward. Only after this break can awakening happen, because it is in the midst of nothing that the chosen one begins to hear their own voice. The one that was muffled for years by the expectations of others. This phase can be lonely. It may seem that everything is wrong, but it is just the beginning of something greater. Because once the illusion falls, it does not return. And those who see the truth, even amid pain, can never live a lie comfortably again. Awakening begins like this, real, deep, and necessary. Pain, no matter how difficult it is, has a clear role: to open space. It arrives when the soul can no longer bear to carry what makes no sense. It is not an end. It is a beginning, a cleansing. And that is why it comes before the light, to prepare the way. Often, suffering strikes precisely what the person was trying to protect the most. Pride, image, control. What the ego constructed as armor begins to shatter. And no matter how much this hurts, it is necessary. Because as long as the cup is full, there is no space for the new to enter. The chosen ones throughout their lives accumulate not only pain, but also defenses. They build walls to protect themselves from everything they felt. But these walls also distance them from their own truth. So the pain comes and brings down what was old, not to hurt, but to open a passage. Each crisis, each loss, each moment of darkness serves to remove an excess, an attachment, a layer that was not part of the essence. Suffering does the cleaning. It takes away what no longer supports the mission. It leaves the ground ready for something deeper to be born. It is in this emptying that the heart begins to change. Judgment gives way to compassion. Comparison makes space for authenticity. Hurry becomes presence. The soul begins to breathe because the weight of what was not hers finally starts to leave. What many people call a break or failure is, in fact, this process of purification. It is not about losing everything, but about removing what prevents the true shine. The chosen ones did not come full, they came to be filled. But first, they need to be ready to receive. It is common for a person to feel empty during this process, as if nothing makes sense anymore, as if everything has been ripped away. And it has. But what leaves was never you. It was the masks, the weights, the distractions. And now, without that, something new can be born. Pain only digs deep, because the light that is going to enter needs space. It needs depth, roots. Real transformation is not built on the surface. It begins in the void. And from the void, clarity is born. Purpose. Alignment with something that goes beyond what the eyes can see. This emptying does not happen all at once. It comes in phases, in waves, and each phase cleans apart, until the interior is ready, not to be perfect but to be true, because the universe does not use those who think they are ready. It uses those who are available. When the chosen one understands this, they stop resisting. They begin to embrace the process, even with pain. They realize that every loss opens space for gain, that every wound reveals an entrance to something greater, and that being chosen is not about having an easy life. It is about being willing to live with purpose. Light does not enter by force. It enters when the soul is willing to make space. And this space is almost always carved by pain. Many people are born into homes where there is no welcoming. Where love is absent, the glances are cold, and the words hurt more than they help. From an early age, the chosen one learns to fend for themselves emotionally. And it is there, in silence and solitude, that the formation of a more sensitive, deeper soul begins. Perhaps you were that child who tried to please, who sought attention, who wanted to be seen. And even so, you were ignored or criticized. Maybe you felt that there was something wrong with you when, in reality, what existed was an environment incapable of recognizing your light. Growing up amid scarcity, conflict, and lack of affection is not a failure of destiny. It is part of the process. The universe does not throw you into these scenarios by chance. It places you where your soul will be forced to grow, where you will learn through pain to develop what you need for your mission. Being rejected for being different is also common in the journey of the chosen ones. They feel too much, perceive too much, and from an early age they are called too sensitive. Instead of being understood, they are isolated. But this initial rejection did not come to break you. It came to show you that your path would never be like everyone else's. The chosen ones are not shaped in ease. They are formed in friction, in difficult environments, in absences, in pains that no one saw. And it is in this place that they learn about strength, compassion, and truth. Because only those who know what it is to be ignored learn to truly embrace. Financial difficulties are also part of the journey for many. Scarcity teaches the value of the essential. It teaches humility, teaches creativity, teaches empathy. Chosen ones who have experienced poverty are generally more connected to human suffering. They know how to value what matters. They know how to live with the heart, even when the rest is lacking. None of this happens by chance. Every difficult scenario, every moment of pain, built important parts of you. They were not just wounds. They were trainings. Silent rehearsals of a soul that, down the line, would use all of this to heal, teach, and guide others who would go through the same pains. Those who have not had support learn to listen to what comes from within. Those who have not had protection learn to strengthen themselves on their own. Those who have not had affection learn to offer what they never received. And this is not weakness. This is wisdom forged in reality. These experiences do not define you, but they forged you. Not so that you live stuck in the past, but so that you could transform it into direction, into consciousness, into truth. Those who go through all of this and continue with their hearts open are already on the path to awakening. You did not come from a toxic home by chance. You did not go through scarcity for no reason. You were not rejected for nothing. All of this was preparing you. And now that you are starting to see this clearly, you can stop asking yourself, why me? And begin to ask, what do I do with this now? The past did not break you. It taught you. And these learnings, which did not come from books, but from experience, are exactly what you will use in your mission as a chosen one. Not everything that shines was born ready. Gold, before it gleams, needs to go through fire. It is placed in high temperature, melted, purified. All excess, all dirt, everything that contaminates it is eliminated there, in the pain of intense heat. And only then, when what is pure remains, can it be used for something valuable. The same happens with the chosen ones. They do not come ready. They do not arrive in the world already awakened. They are prepared. And this preparation is done in fire. The fire of difficult situations, painful losses, deep disappointments. Suffering acts as this heat that removes everything that is not part of the essence. It cleanses, shapes, refines. Pain is not a mistake. It is the process. Those with a greater mission need greater preparation. And this preparation almost never happens in calm moments. The chosen one goes through crises that no one sees, through internal struggles that they can barely explain, and at times they think they won't endure, but they endure, because something inside them insists on continuing. What this fire does, besides cleaning, is teach. It teaches real empathy, not that of beautiful speeches. It teaches true presence, because the chosen one knows what it is to need someone and not have them. It teaches to listen with the heart, because it has already screamed inside and no one heard. Those who go through the fire learn not only to survive, but to heal. Healing others requires having visited one's own pain. You cannot guide someone on a path you have never walked. The chosen one becomes a bridge, because they have already crossed it. They have fallen. They have broken. And in their own reconstruction, they discovered tools that they can now offer to others. This is the difference of those who have been through the fire. They are not theoretical. They do not speak of books. They speak from experience. They speak from the soul. They speak with their eyes. Their presence already conveys something that cannot be taught: truth. Because those who have been burned inside do not have time for appearances. They speak of essence. And that is what touches. Many people want to serve the light, but do not want to face the darkness. But there is no healing without pain. There is no mission without refinement. The chosen one understands this. They feel that everything they went through prepared them, that each scar carries a piece of the wisdom they now offer to the world. The fire also reveals where there is still ego, pride, or resistance. It shows clearly what needs to be left behind. And the chosen one, little by little, learns to surrender, to trust the process, to stop fighting against the pain, and start asking, what is this trying to teach me? This shift in consciousness transforms everything, because suffering ceases to be a punishment and becomes a teacher. It shows the weak points, the illusions, the attachments. It shows where it is necessary to let go. And the more the chosen one accepts this process, the lighter they become. Not because the pain disappears, but because they no longer interpret it as an enemy. The fire does not destroy, it reveals. After going through it, the chosen one does not return the same. Their voice has a different firmness. Their eyes have a different depth. Their energy has a different weight, because now they know, not by hearing about it, but by having felt, by having lived, by having crossed through. And that shine that emerges afterward is not a shine of vanity. It is a shine of consciousness, of truth, of someone who does not want to stand out, but who becomes visible because they carry something real. Someone who does not promote themselves, but who naturally attracts. Because the soul recognizes those who have already been purified by pain. If you have been through the fire and are still here, it is because what is true remains. What needed to come out has come out. What needed to be burned has already been. And what remains now is you, whole, conscious, awake, ready to shine, not for ego, but for mission. Pain has an end. Even when it seems endless, it is taking you somewhere. For the chosen ones, this destination is not just relief. It is awareness. It is transformation. After everything that has been lived, after so much emptiness, anguish, and confusion, something begins to change within. Silently, awakening is born. Awakening does not happen overnight. It is built gradually, like a memory that comes back. The person begins to notice that they no longer react in the same way. What once deeply shook them now simply teaches. The pain is still there, but it no longer dominates. The soul has begun to take the place of fear. This awakening is the turning point. It is when the chosen one understands that they did not go through all of that for nothing. The wounds transform into access points. Losses gain meaning. Past rejections reveal themselves as protection. Chaos becomes fertile ground. And the silence which once suffocated becomes the place of inner listening. Nothing external has changed, but inside, everything is reorganizing. Awakening does not make you perfect, but it makes you more aware. You start to observe yourself, to listen to your intuition, to question what you once accepted without thinking. The soul finally begins to lead. And that is when the shine of the chosen ones appears, not as appearance, but as presence. This shine does not come from what you have conquered, but from what you have understood. It comes from the clarity that only those who have been through everything can carry. The gaze changes, the speech changes, the rhythm changes, And most importantly, the heart opens in a different way, without haste, without neediness, with purpose. Many people associate spiritual awakening with constant peace, but in reality, awakening is realism with lightness. It is knowing that pain exists, but that you no longer need to live from it. It is finding meaning even when everything seems difficult. It is walking with awareness, even without guarantees. After suffering, the chosen one begins to see themselves with different eyes. They start to respect their story. They stop blaming themselves for feeling so much. They understand that it was in the depth of pain that their strength was born, and that now, upon awakening, they have something to offer to the world that no one else can give, their truth. Suffering did not take you away from the mission. It pushed you toward it. And now that you have come this far, you realize that even without understanding, you have been guided. Every detail of your journey has served to open your eyes, to expand your listening, to activate what was dormant. This new state of consciousness does not isolate you. It connects you. You begin to see pain in others with more compassion. You start to understand that everyone is at some point along the way, and that your role may not be to explain anything, but simply to be present, to reflect light with your own presence. You do not need to prove anything to anyone. Awakening is not a performance. It is a way of being in the world, lighter, truer, more whole. It does not mean that you will never suffer again. It means that now you know why you suffer, and you know what can be born from it if you allow it. This is where the chosen one begins to shine, not with applause or external recognition, but with balance, with consistency, with a type of wisdom that cannot be taught. It is transmitted. You do not need to explain what you have lived. Those who need to feel will feel. Those who need to remember will remember by your side. Awakening is not the end of the journey. It is the beginning of a new way of living. You will still stumble, you will still feel, you will still face shadows. But now, you know who you are, and you know that you are no longer in the dark. Your light is on, and it is real. You have survived things that many people can't even imagine. You have gone through pains that were not visible, faced heavy silences, and dealt with rejections that marked your soul. But you are here, and that in itself says a lot. Not because everything is over, but because you carried on anyway. And this has a name: awareness. Pain has taught you what no one would teach you any other way. It has been your school. And although you did not choose this path, it was this path that shaped you. It did not turn you into a bitter person. On the contrary, it refined your sensitivity, deepened your gaze, and strengthened your presence. Now, you feel differently. You listen differently. You live differently. Many try to escape suffering. They pretend everything is okay, ignore it, hide it. But the chosen one cannot. Because they feel everything intensely, because they cannot deceive themselves for long, and that is why, even without knowing, they end up awakening. They find themselves compelled to seek meaning, to turn inward, to rebuild themselves. You have been purified by the process. Each fall stripped away a layer. Each disappointment showed you where there was no truth. Each pain tuned your soul with your mission. Now, what you have is not just survival. It is wisdom. It is not just a scar. It is direction. Pain has spiritually educated you. This does not mean that everything will now be easy, but it means that you already see. And that changes everything. You stop trying to fit into places that diminish you. You stop accepting relationships that drain you. You stop blaming yourself for being who you are. You begin to honor your truth. And that is the true shine. Your light does not come from what you have achieved, but from what you have overcome. It is not a shine of appearance. It is a shine that comes from silence, from surrender, from the courage to continue even in fear, even with doubts, even when tired. This light is your spiritual signature, and it was born only because pain cleared the way. Perhaps you still do not have total clarity about your mission, but believe me, it is already in motion. Because mission is not just what you do, it is what you transmit. And simply the fact that you chose to continue with an open heart already makes you a bridge. It already makes you a healing presence for someone. You do not need to save the world, nor change everything around you. You just need to remain true to your soul, to keep learning, to keep offering what you carry. Even if it is just listening, just being present, just truth. Those who have gone through what you have already carry a light that speaks without words. Everything that hurt, everything that seemed unfair, everything that made you question your worth, now gains new meaning. It was not punishment. It was preparation. It was alignment. It was part of a greater calling. And now, you are not just someone who suffered. You are someone who awakened. And that makes all the difference. Your story matters. Your pain matters. And what you are doing with it now is what truly transforms everything. The world does not need perfect people. It needs real people. With visible scars and awakened souls. People who do not speak from above but speak from within. People like you. If this message truly resonated with you, I want to ask you one simple thing. Leave in the comments a word, a phrase, or a feeling that represents your journey up to this point. It can be something you learned, something you overcame, or something you are still experiencing. When you share, you help another chosen one to recognize themselves. And perhaps, without knowing, your experience is exactly what someone needs to read today. And this is how we heal in groups, even in silence, even at a distance, even without knowing each other. Pain was your school. Now your soul teaches.